everyone, Tim with Collect Jurassic. We're back with a very exciting toy unboxing and review. Today we're going to be looking at the new Mattel Jurassic World Dino Escape, Stomp and Escape T-Rex. You can see it here in hand, in the package. This will be an early review as this figure isn't due out until later this year. I'm really excited to share it with everybody here on the channel today because it looks like an awesome figure. Of course, we're going to be taking it out of the box, going over all the action features, the accessories, the paint deco, the detail, all that cool stuff. So I cannot wait to get this thing out of the box and show it to everyone. Again, this is part of the new Dino Escape toy line. You can see it right here in the packaging. This is the toy line coming out later this year. Elsewhere on the packaging, you can see we have calls to Camp Cretaceous, the Netflix show, all that good stuff. You know, they're definitely marketing the toys more and more you know, around the show. Now, was this figure originally meant to be part of Dominion, but then the movie got delayed and the toy kind of got rebranded? That could be the case. We'll probably never know, but the fact that it came with, you know, the capture gear that you can see here in the packaging kind of makes me think that maybe this was destined for some sort of movie tie-in, but we'll probably never know. But here it is in the packaging. Of course, I'm not going to go over all the action features until we get the figure out, but you can see that they're illustrated here on the back as well. You can also see there's some really nice like background illustration here. Maybe we can get a better look at once the figure's out. Sort of that new Dino Escape branding with this cool jungle and broken cage motif that looks awesome. And the figure itself in the packaging, I mean, it just looks incredible. This T-Rex really pops off of it. Not sure I'm ready to say I like this packaging more than Primal Escape, but I certainly like this sort of environment they have going on. I'm going to go ahead and turn the package around. I do want to let anyone know that there is a spoiler back here for Camp Cretaceous, so if you're worried about spoilers, maybe skip ahead a couple minutes, but looking at the back of the box, and we'll get to the spoiler in a second, but the main things you see here are the render of how the figure works with that stomping action that we'll look at once we get the thing out of the box. We also have an illustration of how the roaring and the capture gear breakout goes. Pretty exciting stuff. You know, the scan app, that's the app advertisement that's always here is here. More branding, but this little spoiler here is the main star of the show. I think a lot of people have been speculating about. It doesn't have a figure name on here. It just has the Mattel item code, but this is probably meant to be that mystery dinosaur from the Camp Cretaceous season 2 sort of hint there at the end, this dinosaur coming out of the tank. So this is it. Affectionately known as E750. I think the name has even leaked out there, or at least a preliminary name of Scorpius Rex. So this is probably 99.9% that mystery dinosaur from Camp Cretaceous, possibly named Scorpius Rex, advertised right here on the back of the Stomp and Escape T-Rex, which is, you know, a nice little surprise. It's always nice to get a brand new toy, of course, but when you get a peek at something, you know, unrevealed, that's a little extra bonus. So that's what's going on the back of the box. Of course, I think we've covered pretty much everything we can with the packaging at this point. I'm ready to get this Rexy out and take a closer look at her. So we're going to go ahead and cut the plastic on this thing, start working on getting her out. Go ahead and cut those out. Looks like it's zip tied in a couple different places back here. So there's instructions too, but I don't think we're going to need those. All right, Rexy should be free now. There's another piece of the capture gear in here. Let's see if we can get that out. And you can see right now the environment in here a little clearer. This broken fences, the Nublar mountains on the island in the background, some like jungle road back here. Nice little fun details that make this whole packaging, you know, a little bit more atmospheric, like the Primal Attack, which I totally dig. But go ahead and set that aside and get Rexy out in all of her glory here. There is the Stomp and Escape T-Rex. As you can see, she stands up really, really well. Her legs are very firm. I'm going to go ahead and play with her articulation here in a second. But let's go ahead and talk about some of these extra features it has. The stomping, the roaring, this capture gear, all interesting stuff that I definitely want to cover. I think the capture gear, it looks like possibly just fits on her face like that. It's also got this neck brace that kind of pops on, so you can actually get her all muzzled up. And then this button on the back is what kind of makes her roar and kick off that stuff. So if we press the button, she breaks out of it. That's pretty cool. She can really buck out of it. Really loud too. But the button itself, as you can see, there's a seam in the body. She kind of bucks up her front torso and roars. It's all tied to that one button back here, so she can do all. And you can kind of press it for like a half press, or you can press it all the way down. Now this whole thing kind of breaks apart into 3 pieces. It's cool because it's silver plastic, or casted silver plastic. It's not actually silver, but gives it a nice metallic sheen. There's some cool details on here, like little bolts and sort of like padding, it looks like almost. And the whole thing works like it fits together, but it's meant to break into pieces, even though it fits together into one piece. Let's go ahead and give it one more breakout on camera. We'll go ahead and get it from this side. Here she goes. So that's pretty fun, and I think kids will definitely get a kick out of playing with those action features. That's one thing that has been sorely missing from Mattel since they kind of got away from vehicles and humans. Was it's just dinosaurs, but now we have something to show that they're sort of part of a park. They're not just dinosaur toys, but they're part of like this universe that is Jurassic World, with a theme park and dinosaurs getting loose and getting captured. So having this little fun play accessory, kind of illustrates that. As far as the other action features go on this Rex, I believe they're activated by the tail. So when we rotate the tail one way, it lifts one leg up. The other way, you can see just lifting up the legs by the tail is how you activate the stomp. It's really snappy too. It's not like, janky or, loose, or it doesn't feel like it's going to break, I guess is the main point I'm trying to get across. It's very snappy. So that's how you activate those feet, which is super fun, because I think you can also just sort of lift it up yourself. So toy photographers are going to have a lot of fun with that, because it's pretty loose, and that it doesn't need to be like, the tail doesn't need to move in order to move the legs. Now, as far as moving it looks like the hinge for the waist is tied to that action. So you can't pose the legs from that regard, but you can kind of get it in running actions and things like that with the knee articulation that's there. It springs back into its original spot when you let go of it. But you can at least, like I said, toy photographers will have fun sort of setting this one up to do some cool poses, some stepping on vehicles, some running, that kind of stuff. And of course, kids are going to have a lot of fun just with the noise there. That's super fun. So 2 different actions, that stomping, that roaring. Those are sort of the main things, action features, along with that capture gear for the Stomp and Escape. Literally stomping and escaping. Pretty fun. But the toy itself, paint coloration wise, I think we're all really excited about this paint application, because it does have such darker tones, this interesting sort of modeled pattern on the back here that we haven't seen on any of the T-Rex figures yet. I will say that it is almost exactly like the new Extreme Damage T-Rex. The color tones are a little bit different, the base tones, but overall, I'd say these Rexes are meant to be, basically the same. They have the same patterns on the back, all that stuff. They have the same sort of color all the way through. They're just got a little bit different of that base color. It's a little more saturated on the Extreme Damage Rex, but this must be the paint plan for 2021's Mattel T-Rexes, because again, they are just very similar looking in pattern and color and design. So that's how it stacks up against that figure. Of course, the Extreme Damage T-Rex is a little bit smaller. This one's a little bit more in scale with the other figures in the Mattel toy line. But the paint looks great. I love that eye. It totally pops off the head. Gives T-Rex that menacing stare. That signature to the you know, the Jurassic character. You got to have those contrasting eyes from the body, and then that darker color around the eye, I think, kind of helps bring that effect home too. Have that color tone going out throughout the underbody and kind of fading back here by the speaker. And then the tail is basically has no paint on it, which I know some people take issue with, but I will say that this thing has a couple extra other paint details. Of course, the toenails are always painted, but you can see the fingernails are painted with this figure out of the box. I did not touch it up. That is literally how it comes. That is a first for Mattel Jurassic toys, having those fingernails painted. So that little extra paint budget actually makes a huge difference with how this figure you know, really looks. And then the mouth, I should say, is also really cool because it has sculpted teeth. Let's get those roars out. T-Rex. It's got sculpted teeth versus painted teeth, which really helps with you know, the paint rub on these. There won't be any paint rub because they're actually sculpted plastic in this color. So dinosaurs can, you know, fight and bite each other as much as they want without worrying about any kind of paint rub, which is super cool. Then you have that tongue painted in there too. So it looks really nice. I just love that they did that with the teeth this time around, because they did it with the Rex last year, which we'll take a look at, and I think that was just a really nice quality control issue. Kind of getting rid of the paint on the teeth just kind of helps this figure stay looking a little nicer, even out of the box, and after, you know, a few months of getting played with or whatever, you know, whatever kind of wear it undergoes once you get it out of the box. But detail-wise, you know, sculpt-wise, the Mattel T-Rex has always been fabulous, and this one is no exception. The head has some excellent detail. You see all those scars and stuff. It has all those, you know, wrinkles and muscle folds in the legs. The legs look super powerful too. The feet have all those ridges in them. The Mattel T-Rex sculpt every year is fantastic. I did want to compare this T-Rex to last year's, which is the Epic Roaring T-Rex, because they do have a lot of similarities. I feel like, you know, their heads at first glance seem very, very similar. I would say that this one has a couple little subtle tweaks that are even hard to see on video that make it a little more cartoonish. The way the teeth are sort of bigger, the way the teeth are spaced out sort of feels like a little bit different on both of these Rexes. The head feels just a little bit more streamlined on this newest Rex. It's like maybe 5% smaller, so it proportions with the body a little bit better. I mean, obviously they're based on the same sort of artwork, so they're going to be incredibly similar, but something about the way that the new Stomp and Escape T-Rex is painted and proportioned, the head just feels a little less cartoony and a little more like film accurate. It's very subtle, but hopefully you can see in the video here, just in this simple side-by-side, that something about it just feels a little bit more like the movie. And then elsewhere, you know, the sculpt on last year's T-Rex was fantastic with all of these wrinkles and everything. It's here on the new Rex. I would say in the body, the main torso, it's a little less apparent. What's interesting about this T-Rex is that this new T-Rex is that it's actually less fat. It's less thick than the last year's T-Rex. It's just a little bit more narrow. It's not as girthy as that T-Rex from last year. It's just, again, it just isn't as bulky, which I think helps it makes it feel a little bit more screen accurate in terms of proportions. I know that the animatronic T-Rex from Jurassic Park 1 had some serious bulk to it. But I almost feel like the toy last year was almost too bulky, especially when you're talking about the proportions with the rest of the body. So this one feels a little bit more, you know, true to form. But yeah, I really think it's these play features and the coloration that really make this Rex an exciting release versus, you know, versus the sculpt detail or anything like that. I mean, it's all here, but those are the main selling points. Just this capture gear alone is super fun. I just love how we're finally getting some of those play features back. We're not getting humans and vehicles quite yet, but at least we're getting something to kind of use with the dinosaurs, which is that capture gear. And of course, that breaking out is super fun. I mean, it works perfectly. It's super fun. That tail stomping works perfectly. So just a lot of really nice tight play features that make this Rex You know, it's going to be another killer toy when it comes out. And that paint is just probably, for me, my favorite part of it. That extra paint on the fingernails and the overall darker tone throughout is just very, very fun, very, very exciting. So this is the Dino Escape from Mattel Stomp and Escape T-Rex. That's a mouthful. And again, it'll be coming into stores later this year, all around the world. Not just here in the US, but this will be the main T-Rex release for the Mattel Jurassic toys this year. And it's just awesome. And I really can't wait for everyone to start hunting this one down because it is so cool. I will do another video with a little bit more comparisons to all the Mattel T-Rexes through the ages, but for this one I really wanted to just focus on the figure and do a couple small comparisons to alike toys. So I think that's all I have for our review here. I want to thank everyone for tuning in and watching. Of course, make sure you subscribe to Collect Jurassic. Again, I'm Tim. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.